and I say this in quotes because I was blaming him for all the anxiety and overwhelm in our house. My husband had a terrible mountain biking accident, and so I did not recognize all the anxiety and overwhelm that I was in. So with that lack of awareness, we decided, let's get out of Dodge, we're leaving Vancouver, moving to Bali. So when you asked what did I do, I actually fled. And I went to Bali.
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about the meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Hello and welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kath, Kim, and Sue.
As you know, here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we believe in shining the light on all things bombastic and illuminating the folks who are stoking the fire in their souls one podcast at a time. So here we are as part of our Conscious Global Parenting Summit showcase of these amazing coaches that you did not know exist. And this Conscious Parenting Summit that you did not know you needed, whether you're a parent or not, I swear you got to be there. August 8th, online. It's going to be fabulous and not one to miss. So here with us today, we have in our showcase, Arleen Tyndall, and she is a conscious parenting coach, also a clinical pharmacist who worked with AIDS patients, I think pretty early on. We'll hear about that story, and author of The Perfectly Imperfect Family, which we'll hear more about that book as well. Arleen has often been, part of her tagline is accepting my past, rewriting my story, and breaking my cycle. So that might speak to some of you. Also, what she's going to be talking about at the Conscious Parenting Summit, a little bit about triggers and children. You know, we know we get triggered by our children, but did we know that it helps us? Facing our triggers and how our children can trigger our unresolved pain. So without further ado, let's do it. All right, Arleen, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me on this podcast. It's my first one, so I'm learning with you and I'm learning with everyone who's watching.
Oh. It's great to meet you, Arleen.
Same.
Arleen, can you tell us how you got started in the coaching business?
Sure. It started with working as an HIV pharmacist, actually. I worked in the downtown east side of Vancouver, which is infamous for homelessness, drug use, sex work, poverty, a lot of mental health. As an HIV pharmacist, I had to train in trauma-informed care and harm reduction. And those practices over the years of being down there for over a decade, I realized trauma-informed care and harm reduction had to start in the home because my patients were humans. Sorry, there's a mosquito. My patients were humans who were children. And now they're on the street suffering from so many issues that we fear as parents that our children will face, you know, and that we face as adults: mental health, emotional health, addictions, maybe not to drugs, addictions to shopping, eating, work, exercise. It could be anything. They're just more socially acceptable. So I saw that it overlapped. My work overlapped with the conscious parenting ideals I was studying in my own struggles.
That's beautifully framed. Wow. Yeah, that does touch all the bases.
Human suffering, what a painful process. It seems like a lot of it comes from the stories you form in your childhood.
Exactly.
About how you should be in the world.
Exactly. And as a parent, we form stories to try to shelter our children from the suffering we've experienced. And seeing so much suffering in my work created more anxiety and fear as I became a parent. You know, I had worked there for years before I became a parent. And then when I had a child who was, you know, growing in front of me, those fears came to life in our interactions.
Oh, I can only imagine. So I know you talk about this in your book, but so you had a moment with your child?
Yes.
That made you...
It cracked me open. I shared on my website, and I shared in my mini memoir in my book that my son, at one point, he was about 8 years old. I had already been studying conscious parenting, meaning like podcasts, webinars, reading, everything. And in the moment of actually trying to get him off his iPad, he was 8 years old. It was nearing bedtime. It was I would like, okay, let's get off. It's an hour or two before bedtime. He would not get off. And as I became more exhausted, more impatient, coming home from work, he wasn't listening to me. It turned into the physical trying to grab the iPad out of his hands because I could not get him to stop on his own accord. And it turned into a physical struggle. And being 8 years old, and my son is so strong-willed, independent, autonomous, his defiance I labeled as disrespect, disobedient. And with that labeling, I became more and more triggered, blaming him for this situation. And in trying to grab the iPad out of his hands, he started hitting me. While he was hitting me, I time traveled back to my own childhood because my mother used to hit me. And I actually said to him, "You're just like my mother." And he could feel the scorn. He could feel my hatred that I had carried into adulthood of my mother. And he wound up to hit me again. And I really had to fight that guilt and shame of wanting to fight back because I, as a child, learned to fight back. I learned to fight my mother. And in that shame and guilt, I pushed him away and ran to the bathroom. I locked myself, and I must have been crying on that bathroom floor for hours. I have no idea. I became my childlike self again. And here my 8-year-old son's knocking on the door, apologizing to me, saying, "I'm so sorry, Mom, please come out." And I open the door, and here I see my shame and my guilt reflected in my own son. And that was my cracking point. That was like, I need more than books. I need more than webinars. I need more than podcasts. What I'm doing isn't enough. Why am I still losing myself and freaking out? Like, what kind of mother am I? And it really started a whole deeper learning journey of not just doing these things and adding on to my plate, but learning how I was becoming. What was I being? And what was I modeling in my son? And connecting to my own pain, because I was projecting it out onto him constantly without even knowing it. So this is why the idea of harm reduction is like, as parents, we're human, we make mistakes, we have emotional baggage. How do we reduce the harm we're already imposing on our children and to the people around us? And it comes with self-awareness. And that was a moment of self-awareness.
Sure, that's quite a story. And now you wrote that chapter in your book?
Yes, so I'm a contributing author to the Perfectly Imperfect Family. So this is a compilation,
Awesome.
and my chapter is in there discussing that particular event and how it unfolded. How it unfolded. Yes, and my learnings. It's a very succinct chapter. I'm writing my full memoir. It's a painful and long learning process to write a full memoir, but my mini memoir is in chapters in this book.
Arleen, how brave, right? How brave to write it, how brave to say it out loud, because others will benefit from it. I know I just did. How brave to relive it, even in that moment, because there are so many blocks and walls that can come up as you're being triggered like that. And I'm really glad that you touched on that moment where you said, you saw it as disrespect and like disobedience and defiance. And I think some of us, I know I could relate with that, because when I felt like I was losing control of the respect that my child had for me, that made me feel like everything was tumbling down, and that I was being a bad parent. If I can't be respected, like, this is the line of how things should be, So I'm really glad you touched on that. I have to ask too, so you said podcasts weren't enough, and not that I said podcast first. This podcast is enough.
Oh yeah, everything you need right here.
No, just kidding. That's how you know somebody doesn't know what they're talking about if they think they have everything you need. But how you said like the book. We have no fun on this podcast, Arleen. Just so you know,
no fun.
But so, what did you do when you found like the books and the lectures or the seminars weren't enough? That is a big moment too of breaking open. So what was your next step that you took there?
Well, I mean, it wasn't, and at that moment, it wasn't an intentional step. Like, I was still seeing a therapist, I was trying to practice meditation. I was like checking off my list of all the things you're supposed to do that people tell you in the books and the webinars and the podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's not in the doing. It actually, I had to do less, and I had to sit in stillness. So ironically, after that, we had such a tough year. After that breaking point, we fled as a family to Bali, and we moved to Bali thinking that would solve all the stress and overwhelm of working at the hospital during COVID. My son was acting out, and I say this in quotes because I was blaming him for all the anxiety and overwhelm in our house. My husband had a terrible mountain biking accident and, a potentially cancer diagnosis. So I did not recognize all the anxiety and overwhelm that I was in. So with that lack of awareness, we decided, let's get out of Dodge, leaving Vancouver, moving to Bali. So when you asked, what did I do? I actually fled and I went to Bali.
Yeah.
And Bali is where my mother was born. But I created a story that this was where we were going to heal, not even the words healing, but this is where my son was going to go to the green school. This is where we're going to do yoga and meditate every day. And I created another movie, another story. And ironically, I brought my anxiety and overwhelm to Bali with me. And so that was the big learning, that I was in this paradise, not working, yoga and meditation. My son was in the green school, like check, 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 check. I was still not understanding that it wasn't the external, it wasn't the environment, it wasn't the school, it wasn't the class, the book, the webinars. It was inside me. And the beautiful opportunity of being in Bali is that you surround yourself with other families and people who have also left their homes across the world to this paradise with their own version of their own movie of what this would bring their families. And there are beautiful people there I met who introduced me, because they were on a different path, on a different part of their learning journey. They introduced me to breath work, which I had no idea. As a pharmacist, I'm like, what's breath work? It sounds so out there. I got introduced to inner guided journey work. These women and these mothers and these parents seeing me. And I did a talk on trauma-informed care and why it matters at the Green School for parents, like the bridge. And because I put myself out there crying in front of a room full of people, they then opened doors for me, sharing what they learned. So it became a community of healing and learning from each other, which is what we're doing right now, which is what the summit does. So it wasn't a one specific step. It was walking through open doors with an open mind and bringing in vulnerability and self-awareness.
I love
That's
that you ignited that it wasn't just
story.
Sorry, Kim. Yeah, and that it wasn't
Go
just
ahead,
like
Jen.
and then I just moved over. I just moved here and everything was fine.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't often happen like that. But if we knew how long it was going to take, we might not take that first step. So it's good that we don't know in the beginning, right? But as you were saying, Kim,
No, I was just going to say, so you did what any good human would do. You ran away from your problems. And then you found out that wherever you go, there you are.
Exactly.
But, but kind of, kudos to you, because I feel like a lot of people, when faced with situations like that, they just try harder to keep doing what they're doing.
Yes.
As opposed to redirecting, wait, this is not working. It's, I feel like it's such a deeply ingrained human thing to just try harder.
Exactly. Try harder.
If I'm doing the right thing, I just have to do it harder.
And it's a sign of success and achievement and shame and guilt. Like, why can't I get this right? I have to study harder. That's ingrained us in in school. It's in our culture. It's in our matrix. Do more.
Yeah.
Like, if you're failing, you do more. Like, it's not do less.
Yes.
Never do less.
And in this world
That's
of external validation, it's look to the outside, don't look inwards. So we're getting the wrong messages.
Wow.
We're giving our children the wrong messages, our schools, our institutions, our hospital, our healthcare system. We're ass backwards. It's
I love that phrase.
Yeah.
And what a good point that you all just made there. Because, and then you could think we're turning inside, that it all turns into this ego game, right? And this power struggle. And that's not looking inward, right? The ego's somewhere in there, I guess, somewhere in there. But it's not the inward work that we're talking about.
And even the
so subtle.
The word ego is stigmatized, right? We think of narcissistic jerks. They go, oh, that guy's got a huge ego. We all have huge egos. We don't even know it.
Yeah,
We don't even know it.
exactly.
So because of the shame and guilt and stigma, the words trauma, the words ego, these things, we don't talk about them. So how are we to know as parents that these are important lessons to learn before you even enter into a relationship, before you become a parent?
So Bali switched the whole family trajectory around, huh?
It did. It really had to shake things up. I know we had to leave work because work is such an important part of our identities. It takes up hours of our day, our worth, and we're exhausted. So by the time you get home, you have less energy to be present. So Bali gave us that space to be open-minded, to have time and to reflect and to meet new people with new thoughts, and that can influence us. So it did. It also shook me up there because my mother was from there. My mother's passed away. My father's passed away. They're both Indonesian. But I met cousins, like hundreds of family members I didn't even know I had. My mother was one of 11 children. My grandmother's one of 11 children. So there is a huge family history there that I had never tapped into. And talking to my cousins and asking my aunts about my mother, like, because I grew up hating my mother, I had so much resentment towards her abuses. I learned why, and it brought me forgiveness, empathy. I understood the culture more. I understood the discrimination against Chinese Indonesians in Bali and the genocide that happened there. So it was a heavy, heavy learning process to understand. My great-grandfather was murdered. My great-grandparents opened the first movie theaters in Denpasar, Bali. So they were quite entrepreneurial. They were big business leaders, I guess, in the community. However, because they were from Chinese descent, there was a lot of discrimination and racism that I didn't know about. Like, I didn't even know that I was part Chinese. I just thought, oh yeah, I'm Indonesian, but I grew up in Canada, but I'm Canadian. Like, this whole identity and belonging and assimilation goes back hundreds of years to the Dutch colonization in Bali. So learning about my ancestral history really brought empathy to my childhood pain and my parents' pain and my ancestors' pain. And that was a huge part of my healing journey, to really understand my own story and my family's story. So now I can actually access compassion and empathy from a deeper place. It's not just a word we talk about and try to tell our kids. We can actually now feel it and model it for my son. So
that was really smart to move there by the sounds of things, because that is a lot. So you needed a long time to let that all sort of wash over you.
No, it's not a 2-week trip. Like, I've been there so many times as a teenager, backpacking through Asia for 6 months. It wasn't a holiday. It was a real learning, a real deep dive into shadows of ourselves. And on the outside, just like when I told you I moved to Bali, everyone thinks, wow, it's paradise. You're living on a resort, you're doing yoga.
You're at the beach.
And for me, it was like ancestral history and excavation of deep, deep wounds that started way before my parents were born, like, way before my great-grandfather was murdered. It started from colonization and colonialism, discrimination, and oppression. And it was so heavy. I had a one-on-one call with Dr. Bali and sharing this from Bali. I was on one of her role plays. And in that recording, you could see how heavy it was for me, trying to process all that when I was in Bali. And she told me to burn my shirt. So she was like, all those things you learned, all those things that created this story of your past. Now your shirt says accept your past, like accept these things happened. But now it is not part of your present. Rewrite your story. Like, yes, learn from it, but don't carry it. It became a burden, the heaviness of that all.
Accepting the past, rewriting my story, and breaking my cycle.
Exactly.
Not just words on a page.
No.
And because you followed that little tickle, and changed the trajectory of your son's life and your whole family's life. That's fantastic.
It's amazing. That tickle, like, I love the word that you use, tickle, because it's so playful and joyful, as opposed to my inner knowing or intuition,
Right.
or, my gut feeling. Like, there's so many words out there to describe, connect to your soul, your spirit. But at the time, you're like, what? So I love the word tickle. Thank you.
Of course. Kath, did you have something? Sorry.
Gosh, no, so many things. Just wow. Yeah, the tickle, the voice, everything that came up, and then the book must be amazing. And it's so great that you're going to be speaking at the Conscious Parenting Summit. I, for one, can't wait to hear more.
Well, thank you for letting me my voice. Like, this is not something I would have ever done. Like, I have been growing into myself. Like, I'm in my 50s now, and I'm literally adulting and going into myself and finding my voice now.
Well, you are a podcaster now, and your voice is so good. It's so loud and clear and gentle, and your story is so well spoken. Just take it to the moon, girl. Yeah.
And we all 100% relate with finding our something in our 50s.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of different
So with you.
prickly heat tickle,
So with you, girl.
all sorts of tickles.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Endless tickles. Well, Arleen, here at Bombastic Broadcasting, we like to say that a rising tide lifts all boats. So we, just tell us a little bit about what you offer, and maybe your website name.
Sure.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So my website is my name. It's www.arleen, ARLEEN, Tyndall, TYNDALL.com. I am based in North Vancouver, but I do everything in person, workshops, or online. I'm learning about webinars. I'm learning about social media. This is all new to me just because I've always been in person at the hospital and a clinic, at rounds and conferences. So it's all a learning journey, and I love the opportunity. So thank you so much. I'm also offering a copy or e-copy of the book. As a contributing author, I'm allowed to share either my chapter or the book itself. So if you go on my website under author, you can just send me a request and I'll send it to you for free. And certainly at the summit, being a participant there, I will also share the slides. You don't have to, write notes, and the worksheets that I'm offering, and a gift of time. So for the month of August, as a participant in the summit, I will also share 45 minutes free consultation to help deconstruct and reflect and explore your triggers. So I think that's super special because time and stillness and being heard and a space to feel safe and not judged, to share the things that we're ashamed of and feel guilty of, is, I recognize now, such a gift, from the friends that I made in Bali, from my therapist that I pay. I call her my best friend that I pay. Like, just the gift of time and space and stillness is a huge part of my awakening. And so, and we all learn. I learned from that in giving it. I learned from that in receiving it. And learning to receive has been very difficult for me. So, yes.
That is a tough one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we can relate to that one too.
I have to wonder quickly, is all of this going to someday lead to you having like mini retreats in Bali for others to explore?
Absolutely. That was on my bucket list before I even got, yes, I'm going to have retreats.
Yes.
I was doing workshops when I was living there. Then I was hired to go to Singapore, and I did weekend retreat workshop there. So I have it in my bag of tools already.
Yes.
You can come up to Vancouver. I'm going to do a retreat up here. So,
fantastic. Awesome.
Thank you.
So many ideas.
Beautiful. Well, love it. Lovely. Well, thank you, Arleen. It's been great chatting to you this morning. That's it from Bombastic Broadcasting. Because you matter, be connected, be brave, and follow your tickles.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo folks said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on, shit crazy. So I just had to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibe, sorry I ain't got nothing for you, why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride, proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything we're doing, showing love, and I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna come down, but I gotta wake up. Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to wake up. Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining.